Transitioning into the next big question that your team gets, and that question is, why should I continue to leave liquid feed out for the cows and make it available year round and throughout the summer?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we do get that a lot. One of the things as a nutritionist is I'm trying to provide the best nutrition to the cow, and I'm trying to do that the most cost-effective way for the producer. And so, right off immediately that sounds like, well, you're just trying to sell more feed. And so when we really kind of step back and evaluate that and kind of work through that. What we find is that they actually don't consume that much more feed. And so, and this is very dependent on where you're located. And so, I cover a pretty big swath of the US with my main focus being kind of Kansas down to Texas, up to West Virginia down to Florida. And so, there I see a lot of different cattle breeds. I see a lot of different forage bases, a lot of different management practices, calving seasons, all that will play into this. But just generally speaking, what we're able to achieve when we leave it out there is when the grass greens up, we want those cows to go out and start grazing and utilize that forage. That's typically our cheapest way that we're able to maintain that cow, even put weight on her, depending on what stage of production she's in. And so we want her to go out and graze. We want her to utilize that forage. Like we just explained why the sugar and the urea are able to complement that, but we want that. And so when the grass is green, really our a little bit of a challenge sometimes is intake. We want them to consume some of it because they're out there chasing green grass. And so when we leave it out there, we're basically allowing those cattle to have access to that. And so when we do that, what we see when we track this is we're able to maintain those cows in better body condition score. And and that basically it sets us up for success later on. And so we know if we're able to maintain that cow in a good body condition score, she's more likely to breed and stay bred on her first cycle, which in turn is going to put her calving sooner in the calving season, which those calves are going to be older. You're going to have a more uniform calf crop. And then just by simply them being older, you're going to increase your weaning rate. And so, basically we're able to maintain those cows in good body condition score and we're able to increase our conception rate. And I think every producer would agree that that is the objective. The cow, she's a calf factory. Her objective is not to get pregnant, but is to wean a calf. And that's what we're able to basically um, help increase when we keep it out year round. The other thing is that forage quality is dynamic. It's always changing, depending on if you're cool season annuals, warm season perennials, forage quality is always going up and down. And we either have too much forage or we're too little, right? There's that art to it. And so we don't have a magic crystal ball. We don't know when that forage is starting to decline. And typically, as an indicator, we'll see that cows are starting to lose body condition score, or maybe our pastures are starting to become overgrazed. And so we know just when we keep it out there, when we keep the supplement out there, and the cows their intakes start to go back up, that's usually an indicator that your forage quality is starting to go down, or that you're starting to have some forage dry matter restrictions, and just in terms of your pastures, you're probably getting short. And so by doing that, though, basically the cow's telling you that, hey, forage quality is declining, or I'm not getting enough dry matter. However, we're still able to maintain that body condition score because I think and I've been guilty of this in the past, is, we're reluctant to start feeding sometimes, because it's an expense. And so whether that be in the fall when we have to start feeding hay, or, if we have to start feeding dry feed, whatever kind of supplement it is, it's an expense. And so I think we try to hold on, or a lot of producers try to hold on until the last minute, until they finally have to start supplementing. But by then you're already behind and your cows are behind, and it's going to cost you more money basically to get those cows back to where they need to be. And so again, by having it out there, we don't let those cows fall behind because it's more economical for us to maintain a cow in good body condition score rather than letting one get behind and then trying to catch her back up, especially as she goes into, you know, into calving and in lactation. At that point, it's a huge expense to try to catch her back up at that point.
Folks, if you want the full scoop on this conversation, be sure to listen to the full podcast episode on casual cattle conversations. You can find that on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and frankly, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. With that, happy ranching, folks.